This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources, following an announcement regarding the company's lithium project in Zimbabwe. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Andrew, how are you?
I'm well, a little bit stressed, overworked, but that's just part of the course.
Indeed. Well, let's catch up on the RNS. Of course, it mentioned key tasks such as beaconing, procuring EIAs, establishing sales channels, and engaging with potential sales agents. That was all in a paragraph there. That's slightly unusual. I've not really seen that in an RNS before. But could you perhaps explain what each of these elements are and the progress made in each of the areas?
Yeah, well, when you get a license, you're meant to beacon it, which means putting in boundary markers. And ideally, you cut lines between them, because that makes it absolutely clear where the boundaries are. And as you can imagine, these things can otherwise be the cause of problems. Now, we were looking at starting just producing from the stockpile and from what we had could get easily, selling to locals. And the government has made that more difficult. In fact, they've really stopped it. They say that unless someone has a processing license, you can't sell to them. And that really means, particularly for that really means one or two customers in the country, and particularly if you're talking about some lepidolite as well as spodumene petalite. And so the alternative is to just export. And if you've got the right grade that enables you to export, which we think we naturally have in some areas, or if you buy selective mining or beneficiation, you can get up to that level or above it, then that's the thing to do. But once you start talking about exporting, then you really want to have the expertise. You want to have people who've done it before, people with, I won't say a few grey hairs, but people who have a lot of experience with export.
Well, can you explain a little bit more about what these regulatory changes mean, perhaps the rationale behind it, and if it does affect significantly the operations?
It's easy. It's because what the Zimbabwean government didn't want was very low-grade material being bought incredibly cheaply by the Chinese and taken out in containers, and all the value added being overseas. So they want to get people moving up the value added curve.
I see. Okay. And
I'm told that this will be a step-by-step process and that they will raise the barrier. We've seen this in other countries and other places.
Sure.
With Indonesia and the Philippines, with with nickel, laterite nickel processing. We've seen it in Congo with copper ores going over the border to Zambia and so on, occasional restrictions. People want to see the value add in their country.
Okay, I understand that. So instead of basically selling like a DSO, a direct shipping order of processed ore, they want to see up the value chain to perhaps a spodumene concentrate, SC6, or even higher. Was that what you're saying?
No. At the moment, I think with 3% spodumene, 2.5% petalite or lepidolite, you can export. I guess that at some point they may go up and say we really want to see 6%.
Okay. So it's about getting those grades up.
If you're getting export grade and you make sure that the payments take place in the country at a reasonable value, then you are capturing, for purposes of royalties and for purposes of activity leading to increased economic activity through the beneficiation, you're capturing more of that.
Okay.
And Rome wasn't built in a day, and they haven't done everything straight away. They're just moving in that direction, and quite rightly.
Okay. Well, can you bring us up to speed on the state of play or the status of the project? I know in the RNS that you mentioned that there was a visit taking place by a South African consultant geologist doing due diligence. So, I mean, what were the key findings from his due diligence? What was the point of his visit? That kind of thing.
his visit was actually on behalf of some other people. But they went around with our geologist, who we've recruited over 50 years experience, and they went around together, and they were the same generation, same kind of experience. They got on well, they understood each other, they came to the same conclusions. And these conclusions included, for example, in Tin Hill, we thought we had a sort of C-shaped deposit. And of course, actually, I should have thought of this, but I haven't been there. It's a hill, and the C shape is where the ore is coming to the surface. But actually, you've got a long deposit, quite high grade that could go deep, and then there's another laterite. Sorry, not laterite, pegmatite. And then you've got another pegmatite at the bottom of the hill, parallel to it, maybe one in between. So we see a lot more potential there than we did. And looking at some of the other pegmatites, they've gone to quite some depth. So one has to look at all of this. But I think in terms of what we have, one or two of the licenses as a deposit, it's looking very promising. And so the possibilities of us being able to get something going on reasonable scale straight away.
Okay.
Good. So what we're kind of looking at as possibilities, we might have a kind of some kind of arrangement with somebody who can go into action immediately, who's experienced on a kind of contract mining basis or something like that on Tin Hill to start with. And then we progress the environmental impact assessment and other work on the other licenses, see how that initial cooperation goes. But in order to start processing and exporting ore in reasonable quantities very quickly, and not to have to go up the learning curve ourselves that others have been up, we may look at bringing in a partner for that.
Okay.
Sense,
So the geologist that visited, he wasn't from Red Rock. He was visiting your project with a Red Rock geologist. What was his MO for coming on site? Is he an offtake partner or not?
That would be a kind of joint venture, offtake, contract miner, looking at, there's different models we can adopt. And we're in a good, lively dialogue with them at the moment. To do something. And we're all looking at how we can maximize potential. Okay.
So the next steps would be to learn how those discussions go, and you can make an announcement as to the next steps, which potentially will be contract mining.
We've been talking to customers or potential customers in China, and different FOB, CIF arrangements, letters of credit, payment terms, how we handle all of these things. The nuts and bolts of an export operation contain quite a lot of elements that we have not handled ourselves in the past, and therefore we want to get somebody who's done it to do it.
And when would you hope to be able to make more of a concrete announcement as to the next steps?
Well, I think what we do now is we get some representative samples from what we've established in the types of deposits. We'll get them probably sampled by a local lab, and maybe we'll get one copy sent down to as a check down to SGS in South Africa. And this is what we show the Chinese.
Okay. So we can expect that.
Off the back of that, we can perhaps have a contract for a certain volume over a certain period.
Okay. Well, thank you for that update. We'll await further announcements from this project and any potential assay results. But Andrew Bell from Red Rock Resources.
Things are busy in Congo.
Go on then, give us an update on the Congo.
Well, on all sides, everyone is willing and anxious to conclude this matter. There are small delays due to availability of people and also tendency of people to go around in circles given an opportunity. But we basically think we've broken the back of that one. So we hope we'll be able to make some progress there soon. And it is a little complex because I want to be in Zimbabwe. But if we're about to solve things in Congo, I have to be there.
Okay.
Because if the money arrives in our account, which if we get a judgment would happen within days,
Okay.
I've got to be there in the bank with the bank manager at the moment it arrives for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you for updating us there, both on Zimbabwe and the DRC. Andrew Bell, the CEO of Red Rock Resources.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.